G.M. Bahi Muhammad, 10th Dan Shinjimasu International Martial Arts Association. Grandmaster Bahi S. Muhammad has been training and studying effective martial arts for over 5 decades. He started his martial arts career in 1967 at the age of 11 in his hometown of Quincy, Florida, where he was the student of his childhood friend Raymond Pierce. The system was simply self-defense in nature. Soon after, he met with Master Johnny Burns, who was trained in the martial arts during his time in the U.S. Army. He taught a combination style of kung fu and karate, and did so with love and respect that transferred from teacher to student as he went out of his way to care for his students, and treated young Bahi like a brother, and he freely offered the best advice in life. Following in the footsteps of Master Burns, he joined the U.S. Army until his tour ended in 1980 when Grandmaster Bahi returned to Florida, settling down in Tallahassee. There he found Master Leon Fletcher, Ted Parker, Steve Stokes, and the Shinjimasu Karate-Do Association at the Walker Ford Recreation Center, later training directly under its founder, Grandmaster Charles A. Dixon. Grandmaster Muhammad is internationally accomplished with students and schools around the world in such countries as Sudan, Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, Ethiopia, Kenya, Grenada, Egypt, Chad, Nigeria, and Pakistan. Nationally, he has students in New York, New Jersey, Vermont, Florida, Georgia, Tennessee, Illinois, Connecticut, and Pennsylvania. Hanshi Muhammad was awarded the ultimate rank of 10th degree black belt on July 29, 2000 in Jacksonville, Arkansas, from his teacher Grandmaster Charles A. Dixon. Grandmaster Muhammad has been teaching Bushido self-defense, Shinjimasu martial arts women's self-defense seminars, and police defensive tactic courses. Grandmaster Muhammad is the recipient of 54 International Black Belt Hall of Fame awards. He is the founder of Self-Defense International, Fear No Man Incorporated, Personal Defense Against Attacks, PDAA, and a recipient of the Leon Fletcher Martial Arts Humanitarian Award. In his 55 years of training, he has studied an array of systems such as karate, Shotokan, and Goju, Shaolin Goju, Jujutsu, Hapkido, Ninjutsu, Judo, Taiho Jitsu, and Taekwondo. Additionally, Grandmaster holds memberships to over 30 top martial arts associations, including WMAHF, World Sokeship Council, World Union of Sokes, and International Academy of Executive Protection Agents, to name a few. Grandmaster's awards, certifications, and accolades date back to 1982, proving that he's truly a one-man army of the who's who in the martial arts world. G.M. Andre Richardson. Andre Juggernaut Richardson started training in the martial arts in the fall of 1980. He received his black belt in 1982 from Sensei Ronald Goines and student of Harlem Goju. He was given the name Juggernaut by Sensei Gerald the Mongoose Orange. Gerald Orange told Andre he bowls over his opponent like the chariot of Juggernaut. This was a reference to the anglicized name for the Hindu god Jagannath, the Lord of the Universe. After receiving his black belt, Andre went to the YMCA for further training, where martial arts pioneer Lamar Thornton gave him fighting drills, techniques, and sparring, in addition to mastering his hand techniques. Later that year, Andre opened up his own karate school in the basement of his building. Major Leon Wallace blessed him with the name of his first school in Harlem, Appletown Karate-Do. Andre was placed on the New York Nightlife Karate team, sponsored by the Long Island's Nightlife magazine. The young heavyweight first national tournament for the Nightlife was the Boston National in January 1988. He took first place and fought for the Grand Championship. At the end of the 1988 national season, Andre was ranked number 3 heavyweight nationally and number 14 overall fighter for the NASCA and PKL. He was awarded NASCA's 1988 Rookie of the Year. In 1989, Andre started his own national karate team called the Power Up National Karate Team, representing the power of vitamin products. The team consisted of Hakim and Sa Alston from Maryland, Sean Adams and Larry Lamb from California, Donald Brady and Kirsten Peaches Constable from Massachusetts, and Kim McCroy from New York City. Andre became the coach, the manager, and the competitor. Andre felt these competitors weren't getting the exposure they needed. The Power Up Karate team captured the number 1 and number 2 overall fighting division spots for NASCA and PKL, as well as number 1 in every fighting division they competed for in the 1989 season. Andre himself finished Men's Fighter International and number 2 heavyweight nationally. 1993, Andre returned to the sports karate circuit as a Metro All-Star Karate Team member. This was the largest group of martial arts champions ever assembled. 150 members on the team, with a collection of the world's greatest martial artists. The team was fully sponsored and had a kids team as well as an adult team. Metro dominated the sports karate circuit. Andre fought as a spoiler, eliminating other competitors so the team members, who were members of NASCA, could move up in the rating. Also, Andre was the sparring partner for Stephen Thomas, a non-sponsored competitor who was gaining notoriety in the men's national senior division. After over 15 years in the nightclub life with 5 years living in Las Vegas, he returned back to New York City. Andre took a job at the Harlem Children's Zone, HCZ, a nonprofit for underprivileged children and their families. Jeffrey Canada ran this program, a martial artist who fought on the national circuit. The Harlem Children's Zone would fund and provide everything the students needed without the expense of burdening the parents. In 2014, Andre's HCZ karate students, Power Zone Karate Team, competed in Crane, Karate Referee Association of New England. In the 6 years before the COVID pandemic, the Power Zone Karate Team was comprised of students who were African American, Arab, Asian, Latino, and all of the different religions. The team won hundreds of trophies in Crane, NASCA, and other regional tournaments. The team was awarded the Crane Team of the Year Hall of Fame Award in 2014, 16, 17, 18, and 19, with several students becoming Triple Crown winners. 4 of the team members competed and won gold and silver medals at the World Karate Commission, WKC, in Detroit in 2019. One of the USA gold medalists went on to compete in the World Games. He was the only American to win a medal in his division. The Harlem Children's Zone opened the door and gave a new life experience to those children. In October 2019, with unlimited support from the Harlem Children's Zone, Andre was able to put together a mega karate seminar, free of charge, top world sport karate all-stars. Louis Ferrer, Keith McKinley, Jesse Ray, with the Next Level crew, Jadi Tention, and the current number 1 world champion Cameron Dawson put on an all-day masterclass teaching seminar. Martial artist students from Georgia, Washington, D.C., Philadelphia, Delaware, Connecticut, Massachusetts, New York, Long Island, and outer boroughs of New York City came to Harlem. Harlem Children's Zone CEO Jeffrey Canada was in attendance. Andre Richardson was inducted to the following Hall of Fame associations. 2015, New Breed Life Arts and Educational Association Hall of Fame. 2019, the Ocean State Grand Nationals Hall of Fame. 2020, AMAA Who's Who in the Martial Arts Legends Award Master and Pioneer Hall of Fame. 2022, Who's Who in the Martial Arts International Hall of Fame. He's also currently a member of the international karate champion Michael Look Up Sledge's male mentoring organization called Sledge Group. Soke Nikwan Murphy. Soke Nikwan Murphy was born in 1959 and started his martial arts life in 1971. His first introduction was in Shotokan karate under the late master Peter Torres of Brownsville, Brooklyn. He then learned about some martial artists doing Shotokan, but with a twist. With permission from Master Torres, he went to Kwanduk's dojo in the Howard House's PAL in 1972 and met his new instructors. He was there before the start of the Kuroshi-do system, 1974. Has trained with the founding fathers Soke Papasan Kanti, Soke Haisan Kalik, and Soke Louisain S. Alston. He never looked back, and his martial arts would opened up. Introduction to his soon-to-be mentors and teachers such as Hanshi Charles Sparrow, Professor Charles Elmore, Professor Cleophas Jacobs, Hanshi Rico Guy, Zongshi George Creighton, Sifu Alan Goldberg, Soke Lewis H. Brown, Professor Robert Crossan, Professor Moses Powell, and Professor Ronald Duncan, to name a few. By the age of 17, having a black belt rank in Kuroshi-do, Shotokan, I was on the way to a black belt in Aki Elmore Ryu. Throughout the 1970s, competing in tournaments along the East Coast, and even while in the Army, 1976 to 1980, competed in Oklahoma, California, and Germany. while also operating a dojo on Fort Ord in Monterey, California. Soke Papasan, Sensei Kumo-san Turner, Spider, and Sensei Kwansai Bass Knight visited in 1979. They took part in student promotion ceremonies. In 1980, Nikwan returned home to NYC, picked up on training, and competed. Shortly after returning, he received his black belt in Aki Elmore Ryu. He had become a favorite uke to Professor Charles Elmore, through which, as the saying goes, he drank from the well. Over the years, he visited a lot of nourishing wells of knowledge. By 1981, he was now embarked on a very awesome career as a New York State Correction Officer. The Sokes knew his passion for training and knowledge, so they encouraged him when he wanted to get into the law enforcement aspect of training. He cut his teeth in places like Sing Sing Correctional Facility and worked with a well-known martial artist, Hawk Frazier, all while operating a dojo in Yonkers, New York, at the YWCA for many years. In 1988, he became certified as a Weapons Training Officer, WTO, under the NYS Municipal Police Training Council, NYS Division of Criminal Justice, and NYS Department of Correctional Services. Working at Arthur Kill Correctional Facility, Albany Training Academy, then onto NYCCA Head of Regional Training. Never let his career block his martial arts life. In 2008, ending a 27-year career. However, by 2005, he started preparing for his future in film and television as armorer, technical advisor, and choreographer for gunfight scenes and hand-to-hand fights. Kuroshido has always come first. Soke Haizan Kalik moved on and founded Kuroshi Kaikan. Soke Alston passed away in 2016, and Soke Papasan passed away in 2020. However, he left in writing his final wishes for Kuroshido, which were that the senior black belts would make sure its legacy continued. They were named Daisuke Kumo-san Turner, 9th Dan, Elzato Isaac, 9th Dan, D. Muhammad Moultrie, 9th Dan, and led by R. Nikwan Murphy, 10th Dan. Through them, Kuroshido will live on and continue to be a force in the martial arts world. G.M. Thomas Hudako. Shihan Thomas R. Hudako started his journey in martial arts in 1962 at the age of 11. While attending a local YMC, he happened upon a judo class conducted by Sensei Nick Savo. He sat at the door, amazed by the men in sweaty beige uniforms rolling, throwing, and wrestling on the mats. Sensei Savo, seeing young Tom's interest, invited him in and showed him some judo techniques. The men participating in the class made the young boy believe he was really throwing them. Tom went home to tell his dad about the class. His father, a Navy veteran, knew about judo and went with him the following Saturday to speak with the YMCA administrator and judo instructor to see if Tom would be allowed to enroll in the adult class, given his age. Tom was accepted, and the journey began. Tom still has his original uniform given to him by Sensei Savo. It's a size 0, a small keepsake from the start of what would end up being a lifelong journey in the martial arts. Tom continued until the start of high school, ultimately receiving his San-Kyu brown belt. He then pursued other interests, such as photography, where he had gallery shows in NYC, and music, becoming an avid drummer in a few local bands. Shihan Hudako found his way back to martial arts again in the early 80s when his son Brian enrolled in a Taekwondo summer camp. Watching his son enjoying the classes reignited his passion. This allowed him to train and spend time with his son. He found a home under the tutelage of Sensei Sheila and Howard Roth, whose school in Bayonne, New Jersey was under the direction of the World Taekwondo Association, Chung Do Kwan, headed by Grandmaster Duk Sung Sun, 9th Dan Black Belt, New York City. The Bayonne school would head to NYC headquarters to train and test. Classes were fast, hard, and strong. Shihan Hudako would eventually test and receive his first and second degree black belts from GM Duk Sung Son, WTKDA. After many years of continuous training and tournament wins, Shihan Hudako was promoted to his third, fourth, and eventually his fifth degree master rank in 1987. He is the only black belt under Sensei Sheila and Howard Roth to receive an assistance instructor certificate. In 2002, Shihan Hudako left the Bayonne school to explore new avenues of training. He continued to train part-time at the West End Dojo, Koikan Karate-Do in Pennsylvania, run by Sensei Brad Hildebrandt and Sensei Sue Scarborough. Having a seasonal home in Pennsylvania, he would join in on weekends and during vacations to Pennsylvania for the next 10 years. During his time, he was invited to a seminar by visiting karateka from Great Britain. The instructors taught karate, judo, aikido, and kubudo. He continued to meet and train when they would visit the USA, and eventually received his 6th degree black belt from Hanshi Kevin O'Connor, Bushi Karate Jitsu Association, in 2006. In 2003, Shihan Hudako started the Bayon Martial Arts School. It was exciting for him to now teach the martial arts he'd been studying most of his life. He was able to combine karate, judo, and weapons into the school curriculum. The secret to mastering any field is to be forever a student. Thus, he restarted his judo training under the instruction of Sensei Juan Zapata, USJF. No stranger to hard work, Shihan Hudako started as a white belt, relearning the throws, groundwork, and randori. He continued to train judo as his TKD school was growing, and brought Sensei Zapata on as an instructor. Sensei Zapata helped him join the United States Judo Federation, eventually attaining IQ brown belt. In 2013, Shihan Hudako received his 7th degree from Hanshi G.J. Torres, Black Dragon Dojo. Hanshi Torres had been a great friend for many years and a mentor. Hanshi Torres was very instrumental in getting Shihan Hudako to compete internationally. During the pandemic, the public schools were shut down and all extracurricular activities which the Bayon Martial Arts School was a part of stopped. Being a seasoned martial artist, Shihan Hudako was able to adapt with online classes. Knowing the importance martial arts provides his students, such as self-defense, confidence, and discipline, he made it a goal to provide stability and structure during the most uncertain of times. He ran classes outdoor while practicing social distancing, providing face coverings and sweatshirts to ensure students were able to train safely. During this time training outdoors, he was introduced to Sensei Richard Roberto. They developed a close bond, and Sensei Roberto is now part of the school as a Kubudo instructor. Forever the student and looking to expand his training, he decided to give the art of Goju karate a try. Sensei Mark Capel of the Okinawan Goju Ryu Karate-do Kenkyukai invited him to train at his dojo. Learning Goju kata added a new perspective to the way he performs all his kata. Shihan Hudako's love of kata and competition has made him a top competitor in the senior division. He has competed in and won grand champion at numerous tournaments on the East Coast, and as well as internationally in Puerto Rico, Argentina, and was honored to be invited to compete in Vietnam. This was the first time such an occurrence was allowed by the Vietnam government. He has been honored to receive multiple Hall of Fame awards domestically and internationally. Shihan Hudako's school is located in Bayonne, New Jersey, offering classes for children, teens, and adults. The school has been a mainstay in the community for over 40 years. Pre-pandemic, Shihan Hudako competed at over 20 tournaments a year, and at 70 years old still continues to compete and shows no signs of stopping. His love for the martial arts continues to grow and hopes to pass his love of this art from each and every student that walks through the door of his school. When not competing, Thomas spends his days with his wife of 50 years, Linda, without whose endless support and encouragement none of this would be possible, and playing with his grandchildren, Addison and Bryce. The Birth of Tuk Gong Musul by Guy Lark. The debate of what is better, traditional or modern martial arts, has been a heated topic for a few decades now. Few actually address the need for the old and the new unity. Traditionalists firmly stand their ground in legacies and place their faith in time-honored traditions, philosophies, and ritualized forms. They scoff at modernized systems as crude, barbaric methods of street fighting with no sense of spirituality. Many practitioners of modern systems see the world as an urban jungle. There can be no room for niceties, such as uniforms, pretty dances, and outdated weapons. Their arsenal includes quick and dirty close combat techniques and street weapons. Another group is the innovators who attempt to mix the old and the new. The results are mixed, as it could result in a hodgepodge of ideas and experiences. In a few cases, the opposite can be found. Devastating arts such as Kenpo, Anshu Stephen K. Hayes' Toshindo, and Chonkok-do, the Chuck Norris system, are a few success stories. These success stories are the culmination of great people's minds, skills, research, and constant development. In my second home in South Korea, the amount of actual real traditional art forms can be counted on one hand. Everything else seems to be modern revisions and adaptations of other art, even other contemporary arts. In some cases, school owners make their own programs just to avoid the politics and high costs of being connected to controlling forces of associations. As in our own cultures, a few masters decide to carefully develop and structure a system that can do everything it should. One of the rare few is Grandmaster No One Park, the founder of Takedown Musul. Grandmaster Park was born in Iksan, South Korea, on April 19, 1956. The young boy quickly showed an aptitude for athletics and competed in track and field events throughout elementary school. In addition, he started practicing Taekwondo at the age of 9, alongside his uncles who were close in age to him. He was enthralled with it. When he began middle school, he traveled to a nearby town and visited 3 separate martial art academies a day. Like most young men, he thought whatever he was doing at the moment was the universal truth and encountered any plateau with earnest. So, completely immersed in the arts, he spent every waking moment going through combinations in his mind. While in middle school and high school, he would subtly practice motions with his fingers rather than pay attention in class. Needless to say, he got scolded for that a few times. He studied like that for 10 years, practicing 7 days a week, rain or shine. Soon after, he started formulating his own system in his mind, as it was taking too much time in his schedule and there was so much repetition between the academies. That attitude became one of his mottos in life. Take everything you know and make something new. It now means anything in your life, not just the fighting arts. In September 1977, he enlisted into mandatory military service and was placed into an elite Special Guard unit until May 1980. There, he learned sniper skills, bodyguard techniques, advanced pressure points, survival skills, etc. In late '78, the Korean government wanted to develop special martial art techniques for their counter-terrorist agents. They needed a system that was quick to learn and efficient. The desperate urgency was due to a hijacked plane in '77. As fate we have it, a tragic event happened on October 26, 1980. President Yoon-hee Park was assassinated. This postponed the actual systemization of the art, now known as Taekdown Musul. On April 21, 1981, it became an official subject in the Korean military training regimen. It encompassed 8 internal and external arts that GM Park researched extensively. In 1986, it was actually set enough to be put into a textbook format. The real test came during the mid-'80s, when the South Korean military arranged a sparring match between 5 4th and 5th degree black belt officers and 5 North Korean spies. The South Korean officers were humiliated, to say the least. They were put into a brutal 3-month crash course training with Grandmaster Park to intensively study the military's new secret weapon. After, there was a rematch, and all 5 officers emerged victoriously. The Taegyuk, Korean national flag symbol, represents and Yang, also what we know as Yin and Yang. In addition, it represents Korea's identity. The globe, as one can guess, means the desire to internationalize the art. The orange-colored rim helps one envision light, energy, and ki. The color of blue on the flag represents the clearness and clarity of the spirits. Of those flow the TGMS doctrines. The black belt symbolizes every individual who earned the right to wear a belt in this system. The person posing is a model of the individuals who went above and beyond in their pursuit of excellence in TGMS, basically those who achieved master status. In the posture itself, the right hand symbolizes the generation and expulsion of ki all around him, while the left stands for heroic virtue in the traditional sense. As you can guess, the knife symbolizes skill in all areas. The Korean writing is in tribute to Korea's cultural identity. The English is to demonstrate the willingness to adapt and blend with the international community. Weapons. The weapons, skills, or subjects, as they are referred to in TGMS, are numerous and varied. Each one has basic, intermediate, and advanced levels, with forms dedicated to each. The following subjects are as follows. Bu-wul-sul, a weapon from the Goguryeo era and used by the elite warriors known as the Jo-i-son-in. It is a small, light, diamond-headed axe attached to a long rope, similar in a way to the ninja's Manriki Gusari. This easily hidden weapon is devastating in close and far distances, particularly if there are obstacles in the way. Pa-dong-gu. It appears to be a traditional Korean sword, but has a sharp, wavy blade. It generates and uses internal and external power upon impact. It can be used as a sword or even a saw or an axe if need be. Chil-Ji-Do, GM Park's favorite blade. It dates back to the Baek-J era. The fork-like appendages on the blade allows the defender to easily trap an enemy's blade and disarm him efficiently. More importantly, it is a symbol of high authority. One was actually given centuries ago to the Japanese royal family. Dan-gum, Korean for dagger. Chong-gum, Korean for the bayonet off of a rifle. Mong-dong-i, a short stick. Bong, the Korean bowstaff. Sang-jul-gon, Korean word for the nunchucks. Kwon-chong, basically the use of a handgun as a melee weapon. Tuk-mu-do, the Chinese saber seen in most kung fu systems. Yan-jun-sap, the military-style shovel, actually any kind could be used. Sam-dan-bong, the police stick used in most law enforcement agencies around the world. Gum, this is their basic sword. These are in addition to a wide range of upper and lower body strikes, pressure points, locks, and throws. Differences compared to its cousins. As a constantly growing and developing art, there are numerous differences between Tukgongmusul when viewing it as opposed to other Korean arts. Firstly, it is the time it takes to study. Nowadays, everyone seems to follow the McDojo method or the old-style method of promotion through the stages. This uses neither. The system was designed for efficiency and no wasted time. However, there is also a wide breadth of techniques to be learned as well. For experienced martial artists, 3 to 4 years will see a fast result. Second is their view on flexibility, where many see that as a measure of how high you can bend or kick. TGMS practitioners view it as how explosive your techniques can be. The more relaxed and flexible your muscles are, the more power they can generate. In regards to breathing, most of the focus is put on the exhalation of the breath. All techniques are performed upon exhalation for more power. Another interesting difference is their version of the horse stance. GM Park sees the atypical horse stance as too wide for practical use, while the typical fighting stance has no power. The most typical stance found in TGMS is the diamond stance, seen in several of the photos. It resembles a tiger crouching off to one side, with hands raised and fingers open. It is useful in any direction and any kind of technique. Every joint in the finger, hand, and arm is used when hand blows are employed. Again, elasticity is called into play, and the techniques are more akin to a wet towel being cracked at an opponent than anything else. One last difference is basic rolling techniques are used far more frequently than fancy tumbling tricks, as the latter is mostly useless on the street. Other differences will be discussed in far more detail in a further issue. Anyone interested in learning more about this neoclassical military art can contact me or the association at www.tgms.or.kr. Guy Edward Lark Sabumnim has dedicated his life from a young age to the pursuit of martial arts, Asian culture, and haplology. It led him to Korea in 2000 and has lived there since then. He lives in Seongnam City with his wife Ji Reung and son Alexander. He holds black belts in Tukgongmusul and several other arts. Currently, he teaches various arts, in addition to writing for various magazines and running Kisado Mui and marketing. He can be contacted on Facebook or at kisadomue@gmail.com.